Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we are going on a thorough evidence-based exploration of a topic that affects thousands in the fitness community, but is rarely explained this completely. We are diving deep into anabolic-androgenic steroids, often just called AAS or steroids. The synthetic hormones many use in gyms to accelerate muscle growth, strength gains, and body composition changes far beyond what natural training allows. The visuals on social media looks incredible, but behind the scenes there are side effects. Some are temporary, they fade when you stop, or can be managed with proper protocols like post-cycle therapy, that's PCT. Some can be prevented with a smart practices during cycle, OCT, on-cycle therapy, but others are permanent, structural changes that don't fully reverse, even with the best recovery efforts. In this video, we are breaking it all down for both men and women in a clear, understandable language. I explain the why behind each fact, the mechanisms, real numbers from major studies, how common they are, and what science says about recovery. This is strictly educational, not medical advice. Steroids are controlled substances, illegal without a prescription in most countries, and they come with serious health risks. If you're using, considering, or recovering, please consult a qualified doctor, ideally an endocrinologist who understands this area. Blood work is essential. All right. Let's build the foundation first so everything else clicks. The basic science, how steroids affect your body. Your body naturally produces testosterone, the primary male sex hormone, but women produce it too, just in much smaller amount. Testosterone drives muscle growth, strength, energy, libido, and more. When you introduce exogenous, meaning outside anabolic steroid, you are flooding your system with supraphysiological levels. Doses often 5 to 100 times higher than natural production. Your brain's hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the HPG axis, acts like a thermostat. It detects the high hormone levels and shuts down your natural production to compensate. The hypothalamus stops releasing GnRH, the pituitary stops LH and FSH, and your testes in men and ovaries in women go quiet. This shutdown is the root of many side effects. During a cycle, you get benefits, but also disruption in estrogen balance, blood lipids, blood pressure, liver stress, and more. When you stop, the axis has to reboot. And that's where PCT comes in for many men, using drugs like HCG to mimic LH and stimulate the testes, plus serums like clomiphene or tamoxifen to block estrogen feedback and restart the axis. Now, let's go section by section. First, men. Temporary side effects in males, often reversible or preventable. Many effects are tied directly to hormone fluctuation, and studies show they frequently improve or normalize after stopping. especially with shorter cycles, lower doses, good on cycle support, and proper recovery. Testicular atrophy and low testosterone symptoms post-cycle. When the HPG axis shut down, your testes shrink because they are not being stimulated. They don't produce testosterone. In landmark HAARLEM study, a prospective real-world trial of 100 amateur male AAS users with a median 16-week cycle, testicular atrophy was self-reported by 58% during cycle. Sperm production also crashed. Average sperm concentration dropped from 46.8 million per milliliter to just 11.7 million. And 68% became oligozoospermic or azoospermic, meaning very low or zero sperm production. After stopping, recovery is common. In HAARLEM, for men with normal baseline testosterone, it normalized in most within 3 months and nearly 100% by 1 year. Other research shows full gonadal recovery can take 6 to 12 months or longer without help. Symptoms like fatigue, low libido, erectile issue, mood dips, and muscle loss hit hard during this hypogonadal phase. PCT helps many feel better faster. A large survey of 470 men who stopped AAS found 76% used some form of PCT, and they reported about 60% fewer craving to restart, 60% reduction in withdrawal symptoms, and 50% fewer suicidal thoughts compared to those who didn't. Another recent analysis showed PCT users have faster biochemical recovery in short term, weeks versus months. However, HAARLEM itself found PCT didn't dramatically change the final normalization rate at 1 year, but it clearly eases the transition for many. Common PCT HCG for few weeks, followed by SAMS for 4 to 6 weeks. It stimulates the testes directly and helps restore natural production. Gynecomastia, breast tissue development. Excess testosterone can aromatize, convert into estrogen. This affects up to 90% in HAARLEM physical exams, 26% self-reported. It can be largely prevented by aromatase inhibitors like anastrozole during cycle, or managed with SAMS. Early stage gyno often shrinks or resolves after stopping as hormones normalize. Advanced fibrous tissue may need surgery, but that's less common with prevention during cycle. Acne and skin tissues. Androgen ramps up sebum production, clogging pores. Self-reported acne jumped from 10% pre-cycle to 52% during in HAARLEM, observed in 29% by doctor. It usually clear within months after stopping, but untreated severe acne can leave permanent scarring. Early dermatologist treatment with topicals and antibiotics helps prevent that. And fluid retention, blood pressure, and hematocrit. 56% reported swelling. Average blood pressure rose about 1/3 of millimeter of mercury. Hematocrit, red blood cell percentage, increased by around 3 points, with 33% exceeding safe levels. That's raising blood thickness and clot risk. And all this typically return to baseline with 3 months off cycle. On cycle blood donation or careful monitoring helps manage hematocrit. Lipid changes and liver stress. HDL, good cholesterol, drops significantly, about 0.4 millimoles per liter. LDL rose 0.45 millimoles. Liver enzymes like ALT rose an average 18.7 units, especially with oral steroids. That will normalize after stopping the cycle. Mood and physiological effects. Agitation during cycle in 36%. Post-cycle low mood in many. These are largely tied to hormone sync and usually improve as the level stabilizes. Supported by PCT, sleep, and lifestyle. The key takeaway: there are dose and time-dependent, shorter cycle, proper ancillaries like AI for estrogen, liver support, cardio and blood work every 4 to 8 weeks can prevent or minimize many. Recovery is the norm for single or occasional moderate cycles. Permanent or long-lasting side effect in males, the ones that often stick. Not everything bounces back fully, especially with repeated long cycles, high cumulative doses, or genetic vulnerabilities. Accelerated male pattern baldness, DHT, dihydrotestosterone, a potent androgen from testosterone conversion, miniaturizes hair follicles in genetically prone men. Once follicles shrink permanently, hair doesn't regrow naturally. This is irreversible without transplants. Many users report noticeable thinning that continues or stays even years later. Fertility and sperm issues. While most recover, heavy or prolonged use can cause longer-term impairment. In some studies, former heavy users show lower testicular function markers even years out. Persistent azoospermic or low sperm quality happens in a subset, though many regain fertility after 10 to plus 14 months. If you're planning kids, bank a sperm beforehand is good strategy. Cardiovascular damage, the most serious one. This is where the data target concerning for long-term users. In HAARLEM's ECHO study, left ventricular mass increased 28 grams. Ejection fraction dropped nearly 5% and diastolic function worsened during the cycle. Remarkably, these reversed after about 8 months off in that group. However, with years of use, cumulative effects differ. Autopsy and imaging study show increased coronary plaque, fibrosis, stiffness, and higher rates of cardiomyopathy. One large cohort study found ASS user had dramatically higher risks. 3-fold for heart attack, nearly 9-fold for cardiomyopathy, 3.6-fold for heart failure, even years later. Plaque volume correlates with lifetime dose, blood pressure, and lipids rebound, but structural heart changes and atherosclerosis can persist or progress. This is not fully preventable. Once advanced and raise long-term sudden death risks. Persistent hypogonadism, a minority, more with many cycles or high doses, never fully restore natural testosterone, needing a lifetime TRT. One review noted cases persisting over 3 years. Prostate effects. PSA may rise temporarily, return for most. Long-term, possible increased BPH risk. Data is mixed in this area. For men, temporary effects dominate short-term use with good management, but permanent risks to heart, hair, and fertility rise sharply with abuse. Now, it's time for women, a very different profile. Women have far lower testosterone, so even modest steroid doses can cause a stronger relative androgenic effects. Research is thinner, mostly surveys, case reports, and small therapeutic trials, but patterns are consistent and often more visibly irreversible. Temporary side effects in female are mostly reversible. Menstrual disruption and amenorrhea. Androgens suppresses ovulation and estrogen-progesterone balance. Periods become irregular or stop entirely. It's very common. In most cases, they resume within months after stopping, though it can take 6 to plus 12 months for full hormonal cycles. No standard PCT like men's recovery relies on time off, lifestyle, and sometimes medical support for ovulation. Acne, mild hirsutism, mood libido shift, temporary breast change. Acne follows male pattern, improve off cycle. Mild excess hair can lessen. Libido often raised during, then normalizes. Breast atrophy can partially reverse. These respond to cessation and lower doses, shorter use, reduce severity. Permanent or irreversible side effect in female that called as virilization changes. This is the area many women regret because structural changes happen faster and don't fully regress. Voice deepening. Androgens thicken and lengthen vocal cords. Like male puberty, pitch drops, high note lost. Studies and case reports, including long-term follow-ups over 20 years, show this is largely irreversible. Once code changes, voice therapy helps slightly, but the deepened voice often stays, leading to social, professional, and identity changes. Even low doses can trigger it. Clitoral enlargement, clitoromegaly, the clitoris, highly androgen sensitive, can grow significantly. Many reports describe permanent growth that doesn't fully regress after stopping, sometimes requiring surgery for severe cases, like male gynecomastia that need surgery. It affects sensation, comfort, self-image, and intimacy long term. Surveys of female users list this among the hardest permanent changes. Male pattern baldness and persistent hair growth. Scalp hair thins irreversibly in prune women, while facial and body hair increases and can persist. Jawline, facial structure can subtly masculinize over time. Other lasting effects: breast size reduction may not fully recover, voice, clitoris, and hair loss are the stands-out permanent virilization traits. Cardiovascular, liver, and lipid risks mirror men's. So go to men's side effect that I explained before. But women may face them with less total exposure. Physiological effects including dependency also occur. Women often use lower doses and fewer compounds, yet virilization can still appear quickly. Many describe profound impacts on femininity, confidence, and relationship. 2. Bridging it all: prevention, recovery, and reality checks. Across both sexes, the divide is clear. Temporary effects: hormonal separation symptoms, acne, lipids, blood pressure, mild gyno, menstrual change are often preventable with monitoring, ancillaries, conservative dosing, and shorter cycles. They usually resolve with time, and PCT significantly helps men through the rough patch, reducing symptoms and speeding early recovery. Permanent risk: accelerated baldness, heart structural plaque changes with cumulative use, voice deepening, and Clitoromegaly in women, potential lasting fertility or Hypogonadism issue. These involve actual tissue remodeling that doesn't reliably undo. Repeated blasting, high doses, oral heavy cycles, and ignoring blood work multiply these dangers. The only 100% way to avoid permanent side effects is not using. If you do, regular comprehensive blood panels, echo if needed, lifestyle support, and realistic expectation are non-negotiable. To wrap up this deep dive, steroids deliver fast, visible results in the fitness world, but the science paints a nuanced picture. Many side effects are temporary and manageable, especially with responsible approaches and proper PCT, but the permanent ones, particularly cardiovascular, hair, and sex-specific virilization, can alter your health and life in irreversible way. The numbers from HAARLEM, long-term cohorts, and reviews don't lie. Risk accumulate. If you're dealing with side effects or recovery right now, get professional help. Don't rely on forums alone. Drop your respectful question or expectation in the comments below. What surprised you the most? Have you seen these effects play out? And if this video helped you bring clarity, like, share with someone who might need it, and subscribe for more in-depth, science-backed fitness and health content. Stay safe, train intelligently, prioritize long-term health over shortcuts, and I'll see you in the next video.